All right, welcome to the reteach on Unit 5, Lesson 2, which is about lunar phases and eclipses. So I'm on page 238 and 239 because this is a very important diagram for you to understand. So we've got the Earth and then the Moon orbiting the Earth. And we've got the Moon in each of the 8 major positions as it orbits around the Earth. Obviously, based on which part of the Earth is lit and which part is dark and which part of the Moon is lit and which part of the Moon is dark, I know that the sun is coming from this direction over here. Okay, so the sunlight's coming from this direction. So I can actually figure out my lunar phases without these pictures if I know what the phases are in order. First of all, I gave you a hint about the new moon. New moon is always in between the sun and the Earth. So this would have to be the position of the new moon, even if it wasn't labeled new moon. Okay, because the new moon is in between the Earth and the sun. And then you typically go counterclockwise around. So new moon. Remember, you have to get bigger before you can get smaller. Okay. So you have to wax first before you can wane. You have to get bigger before you can get smaller. Okay. So you go new moon, and then you're growing a little bit. That's a waxing crescent. So waxing crescent all through here. First quarter means you are a quarter of the way through your lunar cycle. Okay, and a quarter moon looks like this. Okay, then because it's more than half full, we now have a waxing gibbous all the way to full. So the illuminated side is the side that faces Earth. We see the illuminated side completely. Then once we get to full, that's as full as it's going to get. So then we start waning. Okay, waning is decreasing. So we go waning gibbous, then last quarter, because we are 3/4 of the way around. We have 1 quarter left. Then waning crescent and back to new. This whole cycle takes about 29.5 days. And remember, half of the moon is always illuminated. Okay, 50% of the moon is always illuminated. But how much of the illuminated side we see, it's kind of cut off here, how much of the illuminated side we see depends on the angle between the sun and the Earth and the moon. Okay? All right. Please remember that crescent moons, crescent and closer. Crescent moons are the positions that are closer to the sun than the Earth is. Gibbous are on the far side. Okay? Gibbous means that it's more than 50% illuminated as we look at it. Crescent means it's less than 50% illuminated from our perspective. Okay, so you just put those together. If it's growing each night, but it's less than half full, it's a waxing crescent. If it's growing or getting bigger each night and it's more than half full already, then it's a waxing gibbous. If it is getting smaller each night, but it's still more than half illuminated, then it's a waning gibbous. If it's getting smaller each night and it's less than half illuminated from our perspective, then it's a waning crescent. Okay? All right, so this is just a really important diagram. And just remember, it doesn't matter if the sunlight's coming in from the right or if the sunlight's coming in from the top, whatever. Remember that the new moon is always in between the sun and the Earth, and then you go counterclockwise for the rest of your phases. All right, let's get to the questions that were on the test. Okay. Number 14. From Earth, the moon's appearance changes as a result of, and that answer's right over here, because of the changing angle between the sun, Earth, and moon as the moon revolves around the Earth. So that answer is F. Number 15, I just said this a minute ago, the lunar cycle takes approximately 29.5 days to complete. It's right there. During a blank, the new moon is between the Earth and the sun. Remember I gave you the little memory device. New moon is in between the Earth and the sun. So 16 is new moon. Number 17, why are solar and lunar eclipses rare? Okay, I'm going to skip that one for right now because that's on the next page when we talk about lunar and solar eclipses. Go to 18. Which word means growing or increasing? Growing or increasing. Getting bigger, that's waxing. Okay. When the side of the moon that faces us is less than 50% illuminated, it is a crescent. Okay. Go to skip number 20 because that's about eclipses. Okay, number 21. What phase of the moon rises at sunrise and sets at sunset? Okay, meaning which phase of the moon is going to be coming up with the sun and setting with the sun? Okay, well, it's got to be over here with the sun if it's going to rise and set with the sun. That's a new moon. Okay. Number 22. What is an appropriate word for location B? Well, let's look. A goes from new moon, waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous to full. So this A would be waxing, and this is full. This is waning gibbous, last quarter, waning crescent, back to new. So B is your waning phase. That's going to be answer J. Number 23, that's tides. 24 is tides. 25 is tides. Let's see if there's anything else about... okay. Number 26. According to the calendar, what phase occurred on the 21st? All right. So if you look very carefully, on the 3rd you have new. On the 10th you have first quarter. On the 17th you have full. And on the 25th you have a last quarter. So we're looking at the 21st. This is full. And the whole time in here is going to be waning gibbous because you don't get to third quarter until the 25th. So this is waning gibbous, almost full, but not quite. Waning gibbous, a little bit smaller than the one the previous night. Waning gibbous, waning gibbous, waning gibbous, waning gibbous, waning gibbous that doesn't look a whole lot bigger than last quarter. Okay, this is waning gibbous the whole time in here. So the 21st is going to be a waning gibbous. What phase occurred on the 1st? Well, if the 1st was just a few days before new moon, what is just a few days before new moon? A waning crescent. So number 27 is waning crescent. Okay. All right. 28. Which of the positions indicates a waxing gibbous moon? Okay, so first of all, I've got my sunlight coming in from the bottom of this diagram, so I'm going to take this one and I'm going to turn it so that it matches up. Okay? All right. Waxing gibbous moon. Okay. So new moon, first quarter, waxing crescent. Sorry, new moon, waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous. Same thing. New moon, first quarter, waxing crescent. Why do I keep saying that? Sorry. New moon, waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous. Okay, so waxing gibbous is Q. Sorry about that. It's early in the morning. Okay, which position indicates a waning crescent? Well, look. New moon, waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, full, waning gibbous, third quarter, waning crescent. Okay. New moon, waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, full, waning gibbous, last quarter, waning crescent. So your waning crescent is position S. Which of the letters in the moon is the moon phase that comes after waxing crescent? Well, this is new moon. Remember, the next one is waxing crescent. So what comes next? First quarter. That is Z. Which of the following phases would be found at position X? Well, new moon, waxing crescent, first quarter, waxing gibbous, full. So position X is a full moon. That's 31. Okay, 32 and 33 are about tides, so we'll go back to those in the third screencast. 34 and 35, those are tides also. Let's see if there's anything else about the lunar phases. Nope. Okay. Looks like we're in good shape on your lunar phase part of the test. Let's go back and look at eclipses. Okay, I am looking at question number 17 on the test. Why are solar and lunar eclipses rare? Well, I had you guys attach this to your lesson for lesson 2 to remind you that the moon's orbit is tilted slightly compared to the Earth's orbit. It's about a 5% tilt. But because of that, most of the time during new and full moons, the shadows of either the Earth or the moon, they don't line up perfectly. And so for instance, for a solar eclipse, the moon has to cast its shadow on the Earth. Well, most of the time, because of that slight tilt, most of the time that shadow misses. And for a lunar eclipse, the Earth's shadow has to, or the moon has to pass through the Earth's shadow. And again, things have to be lined up perfectly, which usually doesn't happen because of that 5-degree tilt. So, number 17, why are solar and lunar eclipses rare? Okay, so answer choices, the moon is much smaller than the Earth. Well, that's true, but that's not really why it's rare. It's because of B, the moon's orbit around the Earth is tilted about 5 degrees relative to the orbit of the Earth around the sun. And the reason why that makes it rare is because most of the time the shadows miss. The moon's shadow usually misses the Earth's shadow usually misses the moon. Everything has to be lined up perfectly for that eclipse to occur. Okay, so that's the answer for 17. Let's go to number 20. All right, number 20 is your other question about eclipses, and it says select all of the following that are true about solar eclipses. So you could select as many answers as you felt were correct. So look at your information about a solar eclipse. Number 1, it occurs during the day. Number 2, it occurs during new moon. Okay. During new moon, remember, the moon is in between the Earth and the sun. So F is not true because it occurs at a new moon, not a full moon. Does it occur when the moon is between the Earth and the sun? Yes, because that's the position of the new moon. So G is correct. It can only be viewed during the day. That's true. Occurs during the day. Occurs when the moon casts a shadow on part of the Earth. That is also true. Look at the diagram down at the bottom. Here's the moon casting a shadow on the Earth for a solar eclipse. So number 20, you had to circle G, H, and J to get number 20 correct. All right, so that does it for the Lesson 2 part of the reteach for Unit 5 test. And join me in a minute for the Lesson 3 part on tides.